Hello, students, and it's good to see you today. It's Tuesday, October 19th. It is a B day. We're going to start something new today. We're going to work in smaller groups. We're going to work on either the iReady platform or you will work dividing fractions. So we'll start that whole new routine today. And I want you to make sure that you know which group you belong to and you know your group rotation. That is, you know what group you will go to on what day. And let's make sure you know how to access the MyReady lessons and to divide a fraction by a fraction. So let's get started. If you are working on dividing a fraction by a fraction, then you will, well, first of all, here is group one and group two for period 3. Here is group 1 and group 2 for period 4, and group 1 and group 2 for period 6. So if you are in the group working on dividing fractions today, you will be watching this video, which you will access through Schoology. Look for the file dated for quarter 1, then look for the date, October 19th and 20th. It's one file. Some of you will do it on the 19th, some of you will do it on the 20th. Okay, so let's get started with our lesson, dividing fractions. First thing we're going to do is write all mixed numbers as improper fractions, as we do when we multiply fractions. Then we will change the division symbol to multiplication, and we will flip or invert the second fraction to its reciprocal, and that's a new word for us. Then we will multiply the numerators to get the new numerator, and we'll multiply the denominators to get a new denominator. And then we have to make sure we simplify. So let's start with number 1. We have -3 divided by -1/4. So we'll make that -3 over 1, and we'll change the division to multiplication, and we'll divide by 4 over 1. And as we multiply across, 3 times 4 equals 12, and that's a -12. 1 times 1 equals 1, and -12 over 1 equals -12. And that's our final answer. So for number 2, we have 8/5 divided by 2 and 2/3. So we'll start with the 8/5, and that 2 and 2/3, we have to make an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8. That would be 8/3. Now we have to invert that and change the division to multiplication, and then that second fraction, 8/3, we have to invert that to 3/8. And now we can use cross canceling. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 8 divided by 8 is 1. And then we multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. And 5 times 1 is 5. And that is our final answer. So that's how we do it. So what I want you to do is pause the video, try them on your own, and then turn the video on and see how you did with your answer. So for number 3, we have 1 and 1/7 divided by 1 -1/4. So this is going to be a positive divided by a negative. So our answer will be negative. So we have to convert that 1 and 1/7 to a improper fraction. It will have a denominator of 7. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So this is 8/7. So our first fraction is 8 over 7. We'll change the division to multiplication, and we'll invert the second fraction, which would make it negative 4 over 1. So 8 times 4, negative 4 is negative 32. 7 times 1 is 7. And when we divide 32 by 7, 7 times 4 is 28. We subtract, that leaves 4 sevenths. So 4 and 4 sevenths is our simplified version. And that should be negative because we divided a positive by a negative. So number 4, we're dividing 12 by 1 1/2. The 1 1/2 we will have to convert to an improper fraction. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3. So that would be 3 halves. So we will need to invert that when we do our division. So we'll start with 12, which we will put over a 1. We'll change the division to multiplication, and we'll take 3 over 2 and we will invert it to 2 over 3. Now we do have some cross canceling we can do here. We can't do anything with the 1 and the 2, but the 12 and the 3 are both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1, and 8 over 1 equals 8. Okay, so number 5. For number 5, we have 3 1/3 divided by 4 over 21. So we have to convert that 3 1/3 to an improper fraction. It will have a denominator of 3. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, 10 thirds. So it will be 10 thirds, and we change division to multiplication, times, and we invert or flip the second fraction to 21 over 4. Now we can simplify these numbers. 10 and 4 are both divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 3 and 21 are both divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now we'll multiply straight across the numerators. 7 times 5 is 35. 2 times 1 is 2. And when we divide 35 by 2, we get 17 and 1/2. Okay, number 6. We are asked to divide 8 1/4 by 6. So we have to convert that 8 1/4, all mixed numbers, must be converted to improper fractions. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 more is 33 fourths. So we will have 33 fourths times, instead of 6 over 1, we will invert it to be 1 over 6. Now 33 and 6 are both divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 33 divided by 3 is 11. So 4 and 1 are already simplified. So 11 times 1 is 11. 4 times 2 is 8. And if we divide 11 by 8, that will go one time with 3/8 left over. Let's move on to number 7. We have 2 1/4 divided by 1 1/6. So we have to convert both of these to improper fractions. First, the 2 1/4. Our denominator will be 4s. 4 times 2 is 8, plus this 1 is 9. And then let's convert the 1 and 1, 6, to a denominator of 6. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So we have 9/4, which is our 2 and 1/4. Division becomes multiplication, and this 7/6 becomes 6/7. And we can simplify in that we can divide both the 6 and the 4 by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Multiplying straight across, 9 times 3 is 27. 7 times 2 is 14. And if we divide 27 by 14, we get one group of 14 with 13 left over. So that would be 1 and 13/14. Remember, you should pause the video, try them on your own, and then check your work. So number 8, we have -3/4. So let's not forget we have a negative times a positive, so we will have a negative answer. Divided by 2 and 2/5. And this 2 and 2/5, we need to convert that to an improper fraction. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more makes 12. So we have -3/4. Division changes to multiplication, and 12/5 becomes 5/12. Now we have definitely have an opportunity to simplify before we multiply. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So smaller numbers are better numbers. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 4 is 16. This is a negative times a positive, so it's -5/16. That cannot be simplified, so that is our final answer. All right, we're on to our second page, number 9. We have -3 and 3/7 divided by 6/11. So first we need to take that -3 and 3/7 and turn it into an improper fraction. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 more is 24, so it's -24/7. We'll multiply that by the inversion of 6/11, which is 11/6. Now the 7 and 11 cannot be simplified, but the 24 and the 6 are both multiples of 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 4 times 11 is 44. That's a -44 over 7 times 1, which is 7. So now we're going to take 44 and divide it by 7. And I know that 7 times 6 is 42. So that would be 6 and 2/7, and that's going to be a -6 and 2/7. And that is our fully simplified answer. And now for number 10, we need to convert 7 and 1/7 to an improper fraction. We'll multiply 7 times 7 is 49, and we'll add the 1, which makes 50/7. So our first fraction is 50/7, and we will multiply that. Now instead of 4/1, it will be 1/4. Now 50 and 7 are both divisible by 2, so we'll divide 4 by 2, which gives us 2, and we'll divide 50 by 2, which gives us 25. And as we multiply across, we have 25/14. 7 times 2 is 14. And we can convert that. If we divide 25 by 14, we will get 1 and 11/14. And that is a positive times a positive, positive divided by a positive, which will be a positive. Now, our last two, before we get to our applications, we have -20, which we can represent as -20 over 1. You can give any whole number a denominator of 1, and you've turned it into a fraction without changing the number. We're going to divide that by -5/9. Remember, a negative times a negative equals a positive. So let's remember that when we work this problem. So we have -20 over 1. We change the division to multiplication, and we invert the second fraction so that we have -9 over 5. Now, 20 and 5 have a relationship in that 5 is a factor of 20. So we can divide 5 by 5 and get 1, divide 20 by 5 and get 4. So now we have -4 times -9, which is a positive 36. 1 times 1 is 1, and 36 over 1 equals simply 36. And now number 12. We're going to multiply. We need an improper fraction in the first fraction, not a mixed number. So we're going to multiply 6 times 10, which is 60, and add 5, which makes it 65 over 6. And instead of division, we will multiply by the inverse of 5 over 8, which is 8 over 5. Now let's simplify these numbers as best we can. 6 and 8 are both divisible by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. 65 and 5 are both divisible by 5, so 5 divided by 5 is 1. 65 divided by 5 is 13. So now we multiply straight across. 13 times 4 is 52. And these are both positive. 3 times 1 is 3. So now we will divide 52 by 3. 5 divided by 3 is 1. With 2 left over, we bring down our 2. 22 divided by 3 is 7, because 7 times 3 is 21. And that leaves us with 1/3. So 17 and 1/3 is our final answer. And let's go do those applications. Bill has a ladder that is 8.5 feet tall. The ladder has 6 equal spaces between the rungs. How large is the space? So if we've got a ladder with 6 equal spaces between the rungs, how large is each space? Well, we know that the total is 8.5 feet. So we're going to have to divide that by 6. So 8 1/2 divided by 6. So we will turn 8.5 into an improper fraction. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So that would be 17, same denominator of 2. Change the division to multiplication and put a 1 under 6 and invert it for 1/6. So there's nothing we can do to simplify, but we will have 17 in the numerator, 2 times 6, 12 in the denominator. 17 divided by 12 is one group of 12 with 5 left over, or 5/12 feet, because they did tell us this was feet. Number 14, after a party in her class, Mrs. Jones has 3 3/5 pounds of fruit left. She splits the fruit into 2 5 portions. How many portions will she have? So we're going to take that 3 3/5 and we will divide it by 2/5 to see how many portions she has that she can give away to people who want some leftovers. So we will start with converting that 3 3/5 to an improper fraction. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. So that will be 18 over 5. Change the division to multiplication and multiply by the reciprocal of 2/5, which is 5 over 2. And right away, I can see that 5 and 5 are divisible by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1 in each instance. I also see that 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So 9 times 1 is 9, 1 times 1 is 1, and the simplified version of 9 over 1 is 9. And let's remember what this problem asked. How many portions will she have? So she will have 9 portions or 9 groups of leftovers. 15, a group of friends are running a relay race that covers 3 1/2 miles. If each person runs 1/4 mile, how many runners are there? So how many people will they need if each person runs 1/4 mile to cover that 3 1/2 miles? So our problem is 3 1/2 divided by 1/4. So the first thing we'll need to do is convert that 3 1/2 to an improper fraction. Right now it's a mixed number. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the numerator 7 makes 7 over 2. We'll change the division to multiplication, and we'll have 4 over 1 for our second fraction. Now immediately I see that I can simplify by dividing 2 by 2, which should be 1. Let me fix that a little bit. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I multiply across. The denominator I have 1. The numerator I have 14. So 14 over 1 equals 14, and it's 14 runners to complete this race. And our last problem today, 15 songs that are all the same length are performed during a chorus concert. If the concert lasts 27 minutes and 30 seconds, how long is each song? Well, it's important, first of all, to note that the 30 seconds is 1/2 of a minute. So that would be 27 1/2 divided by, there it is, 15 songs. So first we need to convert 27 1/2 to an improper fraction. 27 times 2 is 54, plus the 1 in the numerator is 55 over 27 times, it would be 15 over 1, but we're going to make it 1 over 15 because we need to invert that. Now the 1 and the 27, there's nothing we can do to simplify that, but the 15 and the 55 are both divisible by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, 55 divided by 5 is 11. So now when we multiply across, we have 11 times 1, which is 11, and 27 times 3, which is 7, 14, 21, 2, 4, 6, 81, 11 over 81. You know what? I made a mistake here. Let me go back and erase. I just went a little bit too fast. This is what I forgot was my half minute. So let's go back and do that over. we have 27 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's 27 and 1/2 divided by 15. So that would be 27 times 2 is 54, and 1 is 55. 55 over 2 times, instead of 15 over 1, it would be 1 over 15. Then we will cross cancel. Just want to make sure I get this right. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 55 divided by 5 is 11. So that would be 11 times 1 is 11. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, let's convert that back into minutes. 11 divided by 6 is 1. And 5, 6 left over. You could say 1 and 5, 6 minutes each. But you could also figure out how much is 1/6 of a minute. Well, 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So a 1/6 of a minute is going to equal 10 seconds. So if you have 5, 6, that would be 5 times 10, which would equal 50 seconds. So you could say 1 minute, 50 seconds for each song. And that would be our final answer. Now you do have an exit ticket today. I would like you to, in the space provided on your paper, summarize the steps for dividing fractions. So that's it for today. Make sure you keep practicing, study at home, get as much practice as you can. And if you do, you'll be great.